Welcome back to Dada's Lounge. My name is Kirobo and today I am joined by my good friend Pam Hoto. If this is your first time, please subscribe and watch more of our videos. If this is not your first time, welcome and thank you for joining. So today we're coming live from New York City, even though it looks like London because of the rain.
Yeah, it's pouring with rain, it's miserable.
But nothing can damp our excitement to make these videos and hang out with each other and with you. So we're going to talk about a conversation that a lot of young people that come to the US or go to the UK or live home in general to study abroad think about, and that's whether to go back home or not.
This is like something that's really interesting for me because when I was a freshman, I wrote a blog post. That blog doesn't exist anymore, unfortunately. Otherwise, I'd have told you where it is. But I wrote a post about how when I was done, I was just gonna go back home immediately, and I was just like kind of chiding people for getting so comfortable when they're here and kind of forgetting about all the dreams and goals they had back when they came here. Because I know a lot of us, when we kind of land here, we're like, yeah, I'm gonna like get my education, then I'm gonna go home and solve some problems for my country. And somewhere along the road, at least for many people, that kind of gets to get lost, or life just changes. So when I was a freshman, I was like, yeah, definitely. And then slowly it became like, yeah, maybe like after 5 years, and then it became, when it makes sense. And it's just interesting because back then, before like I understood exactly what that entails, it was a very idealistic thing I wanted to do.
So what made you change your mind? Like, what are some of the factors that made you decide that you were maybe not gonna go immediately?
Yeah, so I think like what happened, at least for me, is more of my life started being here. So this ranges from everything from like the obvious stuff like friends, relationships, and then even more subtle stuff like I'm used to a certain way of doing life now that I've kind of gotten accustomed to from living here, and the things that I think of as just normal everyday conveniences that I'm so used to now. And fine, we can talk about how comfort stops us from really getting where we need to be, but it's being comfortable is fine. It's okay to want that, and there are definitely things like that. So even little things like love how I can walk around at night here and go about my business without having to think twice about what am I doing, and just little things like that. So over the years, a lot of my life has moved over here. There are more opportunities here. It's not a fun or nice thing to say, but in many ways it's the reality. And I know it's kind of like it's a weird cycle because you're like, okay, well, there are more opportunities here, but maybe I should be making more opportunities back home, because they're not just gonna make themselves. So it's kind of like you're being pulled in two directions, but it evolved to like, maybe when I start out, I should kind of get experience before I head out. And I know a lot of people, they want to get experience, they want to save money, they want to feel secure before they head out. And then a lot of things can happen as we get older, like you can meet the love of your life. And if they're here, then that kind of changes the whole thing, because then you're like, oh wow, because that's a really important person, and probably one of the few people you would stay in a country for or leave a country for. So like a lot of that stuff starts playing in because you're here and your life is building and you're going through the normal experiences of kind of growing into yourself. So I think that's where my viewpoint started evolving, and you get exposed to so many cool opportunities, cool lines of work, technology. You're like, when you go visit home, and it's great, you're the happiest you've ever been, but then if you're there for longer than say a month or so, you start noticing the things that aren't there that you've become so accustomed to. We have combis and they do the job, but here there's a very efficient subway with a timetable, and it's been interesting because, as I mentioned before, I used to be even asking people like, I can't believe you're staying here, you're choosing to stay. Like, how do you even reconcile with that? Don't you feel like you're a traitor? Like, what is going on in your head? But over the years, it's changed to like, okay, I get it. This is not easy, and it's okay to choose yourself and what makes you happy, even if it's easier than what is harder and maybe even right. So
yeah, I think it's important to talk about like how that can affect what major you choose in college, because I remember coming here in undergrad and as a freshman, and I was thinking, okay, I need to know what I have to study so that I can be the most helpful to my country and to Africa in general. We feel like we have this burden to like change the entire continent. Like any young African person you meet, it's always like, let's develop Africa, let's change Africa, let's like end poverty. And American children, American children, when you hang out with them, they're just thinking about how they're gonna better their lives and their families. And I feel like sometimes if you focus on that, you're gonna go further than like carrying the whole continent on your back, because then you end up studying international development, poverty eradication, like very huge area studies that don't give you a specialty, so you come into the marketplace not really having
you're more of a generalist.
You're a generalist.
Even just with life in general, the approach of thinking of doing one thing and not everything is so important, because I do think you get more done and you're more focused, and I completely agree, because really it's like goals that are not specific are so hard to accomplish. And I don't know, we do feel a lot of pressure to like fix everything, but if you fix one thing and all of you fix lots of different things that are different, like you end up fixing more things. And I agree, the pressure, it's so interesting. Like American kids, like it's really self-actualization, or doing stuff to better themselves and their families is what they mostly focus on. But I do think that always has effects that kind of spread out to your community, and that's definitely one way of doing it, because again, you might just get to the same end goal, but it's less pressure on yourself. Because I do agree, you don't have to do everything, and I do think we're hard on ourselves, and I don't think we have to be.
But what are the external factors that you can control? Because you can be like, okay, I'm either going back home or not going back home. But the other factors, like for now, immigration is going on. Like not everything can be in your control when it comes to deciding whether to go.
No, it's true, and I think I think if you've come here, like from another country, I think thankfully it puts us in a position to be able to deal with these kinds of things maybe better than someone else. But things may not always go according to the plan you created, but again, just getting back to like, you don't have to be hard on yourself. If something that you can't control happens to you, go back to the drawing board, make a new plan. There's so many ways to like skin a cat, not to be cliche or anything, but like setbacks happen, and sometimes they can open up something new that you hadn't even thought of, that is really kind of where you're supposed to be. And especially right now as we are young, it's the best time for that kind of thing to happen. It's the time where you can learn about yourself and grow yourself without too many other people and consequences getting involved. And I think it's really important to be open to that. You have to be okay even with realizing that, I'm actually not going back, not anytime soon. And we gotta be okay with saying, okay, this is a plan I made, but it's not working out. But I'm still getting to where I want to go, because things change, your life changes, your priorities change, and most of all, I think we gotta be less hard on each other and ourselves, like less judgmental, less, it's a process. And I think just being okay with the uncertainty and embracing it, yes, easier said than done. It's good to be open to things, especially like if you're abroad, you're still a foreigner, and policy can change anytime, and you gotta be okay with knowing that, and understanding that's not the end of the world.
Alright, Pam, thank you so much for sharing your expertise, Pam, and your experience. And I would say also, before you move back, reach out to your networks, do your research, because
it's important to have a plan. Again, and this is why people start shifting from that, I'm gonna go back right away, because out of college, maybe you don't actually have a plan. Maybe the most logical thing is to stay for a little bit, but having a plan is important. And really, Africa is where you can make high returns on anything, where you can be the first person to do a lot of things, and there's an advantage that comes with that. And I think we should all harness it if we can, but again, no pressure.
Alright, thank you so much, Pam. We're gonna take another break, and we will see you in our other videos. Thank you so much for watching.